Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the home of the most competitive game coverage, most intense unit analysis, and the highest of high-level plays ever seen by two casuals who barely know where the rule booklet is. You're listening to This is for Worlds. Let us join Aaron and Phi and see what competitive topic is on the docket today. Hi and welcome back to This is for Worlds. I'm Phi.
And this is Aaron.
And we're still just idiots on the internet.
And in real life.
And I am one with a great and glorious ego. Listen to me, do as I say.
Right.
That's going to play in for one of our listeners.
Well, you know, we gotta start small, right?
Yeah. Link, that was for you. Although, judging by the tournament on Saturday, you forgot what I was referencing, so there we go. Once again, it's been a little bit of time since our last podcast. This time it was your fault for taking vacation. How dare you, sir?
Fuck my mental health, right? Like, gosh, how dare.
Yeah, capitalism demands you grind yourself to the pulp, sir. Get back to it.
I mean, I'm grinding, just not at work. It's for commission. We'll get into that.
True. Speaking of, do we just want to jump right into modeling for advantage?
Yeah. What do you got?
Shit. Since we last recorded, I would say I've only done a lot of assembly since we last recorded. The finishing 100 points of Swedes for Team Yankee, got that assembled. For the longest time, I just had the 103s, their medium tank built, which I'd run in the
wedges?
past. Yeah, the wedges. My cheese wedges of doom with a fence.
Yeah, they're really annoying.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. Outside of that, I can't really think of... I did a couple more 1/44th scale aircraft for Team Yankee, and eventually, a little bit more Blood Red Sky if we ever move past World War II, beginning of Korea type stuff. Not a lot of painting. Yeah, not a lot of painting recently, now that I think about it. It has been a busy month for the two of us, but we've got a lot of gaming in.
Yeah. I mean, was that everything you had for modeling for advantage then?
Oh, yeah, because, even the stuff that I was working on for 3D print stuff, we've hit the time of year where the basement is too cold overnight. We be dropping below 50 degrees, so since I don't have heating down there, I can't test print the B-29 in order to test my magnet setup for Blood Red Sky on large aircraft, because I had to finish printing some bikes for a collector for my own commissions of sorts. So the printer didn't really get used for any gaming after that. I made John a couple P-51s, and I made you a batch of aircraft right before hitting the last bikes, and that's literally been it. I'm looking around at the desk and the table, and I'm not seeing anything new gaming related. I think a lot of my hobby time has been pushing to finish a couple of the models that I wanted to finish this year. I know I've bitched about it on the past this year. The Tyrell P-34 six-wheeled F1 car. I put a lot of work into that in the last couple weeks, where I can. And that's really been it since we last recorded. Jeez.
Sounds like you're getting lots done on things here and there, though.
Well, I think we've ultimately been playing a lot more games than I've been working on.
Yeah.
Because we said we're going to keep it under wraps until next year. I did build two things as models that can go on a table for a game. I was really happy with one of them, really mad at the other one, and we'll leave that one until we get to that game. I'm really looking forward to that one.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm having to resist the urge to buy many things.
Stop it! Wait until the
I'm
store
resisting.
carries it.
I am resisting because haha segue. I've been knee deep in. Well, before we get to that, uh, what little of my own stuff I did get done was I think we talked about the Blood Red Skies stuff I'm painting. You printed me many things, and I'm painting them like the Fortune Hunters from Crimson Skies, like if you ever played the video game, or the miniatures game, and then like it was more like a board game, skirmish game kind of thing. Um, Made a little bit of progress on those, but they're kind of tedious to paint.
Sure.
Um,
They also look fantastic. We have talked about it in
well,
the
thank you.
past, and we've got them on the Instagram because I think it was a
Mm,
three-way game that we played. My
yes.
Italians, your Americans in the that beautiful red and like checkered with yellow, if I'm not mistaken.
It's okay. So like the actual scheme in the game and the art is checkered, but I don't have the patience to paint checkers at that scale.
Fair.
So it's just black and white stripes. So kind of like kind of like squint, and it kind of looks like it kind of vibe. But yeah, like the leading edge of each wing is, if I remember correctly here, it was a white stripe and then a black stripe, a thin one.
Yeah.
Which actually, now that I think about it, that is how it is. It like leading edges of the planes are that, and then the cowling around the nose is yellow. But there'd be like
Yeah.
checkers elsewhere on the aircraft, and like a cool like a hand of cards, like tarot cards kind of thing. Again,
Which
at that scale, we talked about, it's just probably not worth it.
Well,
So
it's not worth it doing my decals, but I may put in. I've been thinking about it because I forget. I forget which model it is. It might be one of the Porsches I've got, or it might be. It might be the one that my wife got me like a Christmas or two ago. I think it might have been last Christmas, but I need white lettering for the paint job, and I may just be like, "Hey, give me the measurements on where you want it, and we'll see how close we can get it, and just add it onto the sheet that I get made." Because
just
that
fill out the sheet kind of thing.
yeah, because it's super annoying that like I get it. It's not something that a lot of people have a need for printing in white ink. But you would think nowadays with like the just every like the whole grinder, not grinder, the grind set um, mentality of like or hustler culture where they're like you got to do X, Y, and thing. You got to
Sure.
imagine like there's some folks out there that do like stationery or some shit and they want a thinner application than like Cricut like vinyl stickers or something like that. So it's just a bummer that like my only option is going to someone who I think does thermal printing to get the white on that water transfer. And I've looked into it. I know I've talked about it in the past. It's just way too fucking expensive to like support the hobby. So if someone else has like, I'm willing to pay. And if they're like, oh well, you need this much more, then it's like, oh yeah, cool. How many of these can I fit on that same sheet type thing?
Yeah. My last, or I did do some building as well for myself. The newest, or most recent wave of Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff was for New Mutant. So we got Sunspot, Warlock, oh god, I'm blanking on who's in the box. Maverick, and the one I wanted it for the most was kind of, if you know, like classic Wolverine comics or any of the movies, it's when he's escaping from the Weapon X program in Alkali Lake, and he's got like the headset on, and he's just like in full on animal feral mode, and it kind of plays to how he, or it kind of speaks to how he plays. Also, it's really cool. So I got them built up, but then a commission that I was going to do for a friend basically doubled in size. And I made a commitment. It's if you've ever played or ever heard of He-Man, which I'm sure many people at least are aware that it exists, and a company called Cool Mini or Not, they make tons of board games, which we don't really cover here, but they're board games with tons of miniatures. It's basically a board game skirmish war game. But I feel like Simon's thing is that they put a crap ton of miniatures in there. So it's like 2 core box sized boxes, if you will, and a and 3 like little expansion boxes that come with like a couple characters and then like their retinue of soldiers, to the tune of like, I think it was 165 miniatures all told. Like maybe 12 or 18 of them could be argued to be more like objective counters. In fact, like the box counted them that way because the number I quoted and we agreed on, and I didn't care. It was still, they were super easy because they were just rocks, literally, some of them. It didn't count them that way, but his kid is also a huge fan of He-Man, and his birthday is on the 1st, which is also when I'm going to get my payment, which is in, or not that day, but first week in November. SWU set 3 comes out, and he's going to pay me in SWU.
Woo!
But I made a commitment to get it done in 31 days was my goal, basically. 4 weeks, get it done in the month of October, and I've had to average like 5 minis a day, which doesn't sound terrible until you're also working and remodeling a house at the same time.
Yeah, no, that sounds awful.
Yeah, so funny enough, the only day I didn't actually paint anything because I needed a break was the day we were on Saturday for the Legion tournament, because I didn't have time before work, and by the time I got home, I was so exhausted just from like the week. I was like, I'm just gonna play games, video games. I have nothing left. But luckily, like one of the boxes though, I was like, if anybody that's painted knows that, sure, assembly line painting is not the most exciting, but it is very efficient. The box that he added that he forgot he had, and like it was a Kickstarter exclusive box, was 65 extra miniatures, and every single one of them was a unique character. So I couldn't really assembly line paint them the most efficient way. Like as he put it, he pointed out that there's like a bajillion different versions of Skeletor and a bunch of different versions of He-Man, and I could kind of just grab all the Skeletors because broadly speaking, they might have a few different things, but like skin tones and Skeletor's armor are all going to be the same color. But I kind of just put my head down, and because I actually prefer just painting characters, but got it done, and I'm kind of feel like I'm in the home stretch now where I'm getting to all the easy stuff. Like the second core box is only 30 miniatures, and 20 of them come out. 20 of them are in and of themselves 3 different color schemes, if that makes sense, because it was like 3 squads of troopers, basically, just kind of like red shirts. So I knocked out 10 yesterday, and I'll probably knock 10 more out today. So, but I would like to be done because there's a lot of things I'm getting excited to work on for myself. So
That's totally fair and understandable.
but it might end up being, I think it will be a personal record for most miniatures painted in a month.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think he was the last one. I did a commission of Team Yankee stuff for him. That was like 70 miniatures, but they were like tanks, and a lot of it was like airbrushing, just like simple camo patterns. So it wasn't terribly like difficult. So it was just quantity. While these, I'm like, I'm painting. It's like I'm painting Legion miniatures. It's like scale miniatures, and I'm painting them as if they were for myself. That's the standard I'm going for. So
Right.
But that's all I got.
Sweet. Man, yeah, I totally forgot that was gonna be a question, and like I'm still very much like, fuck, man, where did that month or so go? Because we recorded September 10th of last month, posted on the 11th, and I'm just like,
What, almost? It's the 12th or the 13th today?
yeah, something like that, and I was just like 14th. Um, I was just like, fuck, man. Because I didn't have to build anything. We'll get into it, but I didn't have to build anything to the British because I literally had everything built, and I just made a list out of what was in the box, and that's I'm looking at everything we've played, and that's legitimately the Swedes was the only thing I built for gaming.
Hmm.
Yep. Well, in that case, since neither of us have a lot for, modeling for advantage this time, do we just want to go straight into, our world's qualifying?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Sweet. So, Team Yankee first, since that seems to be the thing we've been playing kind of the most right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little controversial here. Probably not. There's a lot of colonies out there that'll probably agree with me. Ex-colonies, independent states. Fuck the British.
Yeah, I think that's a sentiment a lot of folks can probably get behind.
For all of our Brits out there, you're probably lovely and fine people. I do know there's a couple of you listening. Jesus Christ, does the Challenger 2 Romar, or Romor, whatever, I was so depressed playing that thing.
Yeah, it didn't perform great. It was having a hard time.
It didn't perform at all. Not even great. Like, do you remember the mission? I can, like, picture the layout. I don't remember what it was called.
I do not. We were playing, it was like table quarters, and we
With
each
the
had to.
with the center circle blocked out.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty sure we placed, like, I feel like
Two
most of the
objectives
objectives
each.
in that game, yeah, are like you place one, your opponent places one kind of thing,
Yep.
or you place your opponent's two
Yep.
in their area kind of thing. It was some I don't recall, unfortunately.
Something to that effect. The main thing was it had that big circle dead center where you couldn't place objectives, couldn't deploy into, etc., etc. But it was essentially, parallel corners or opposing corners. And I took 100 points British because I really wanted to put Harriers on the table. And even though I'm aware that I can do that in a couple lists, the only ones that I had available at the time when I was like looking through all the stands of like, what do I have? What can I play? I only had enough for British. So it was 5 Challenger Romor 2s or Challenger 2s upgraded with the Romors. The
Is it? Sorry, quick aside. Is that like equivalent to the like heavy common for the Abrams, just like
yeah,
upgraded armor kind of thing?
it's
Okay.
the biggest tank that the Brits can take.
Okay.
The Harriers, infantry squad within the formation. Uh, that's all I can really remember right now. Oh, foxes, bunch of foxes. I took the foxes. Foxes were champions. Those little dudes, they held their corner. They held their corner like a boss. It was just super frustrating. I can't really remember anything else in that squad. Like in the list. Oh, I'm dumb. I probably still have it on forces. Tell the people what you played while I look up my list real quick.
All right. Yeah, I was playing Americans since it's all I got right now. It was a mech company, so your M113 commander, with two platoons. Um, I think they were the upgraded ones with the extra dudes. So like 4 bases of machine gun teams, and then 4 anti-tank teams in there. 2 of those, and their attendant vehicles. So there was like 9 113s with 50 cals on the board. Sergeant York's squad of 4. There was, I think it's just called a heavy company, I believe, but it's RDFLTs or HSTVLs or whatever the heck they're called. Um, that was like a full, as many RDFLTs as I can take, because I love those little things. They're super good. They feel super efficient for the points. Um, Even though they're only like, I think they're single digit front armor, but they have an 1819 gun. They have the hammerhead rule, so they can shoot and remain on the ground. So they're like generally only getting hit on 5s. Um, I also tried out in the mech platoon was a full squad, it was a full team of 6 113s with the like 108mm mortar in the back, so the M106s. And then in my reserve was 40 points of M60, so M60 tank company. It was 2 squads of 4, and then the command section of 2 that I had in reserve, because it's nice the Americans have a couple different reserve options that are like exactly 40 points, and I know like the tournament standards, I think 95 now. But we generally play at 100 just because, well, it makes the math easy, makes your reserves an exact amount. So critically, I thought 2 in the game we played with the Brits. Oh no, that was our second game. We'll get to that. Never mind. Yeah, no aircraft for me, but that's all I got.
Yeah,
You got your list?
that's. I mean, I don't. I don't know if I deleted it or made it on my laptop at one point. But just while you were talking, I was doing a quick rebuild there, and that's literally all it was. It was Foxes, the Challengers, the Harriers, and a couple of like fill out units of infantry in the Fox formation. And when we did when we put our reserve in, I knew I was gonna have to do 2 of the challengers in there, and I forget what else went in because that was still not 40 points. Um, and I thought so. I remember something had the spearhead, which allowed me to bust out
It
close
was the
to.
Foxes.
No, they moved in to the spearhead.
Okay.
I don't think they have it because there was something
I
that
just
I.
remember they were all there. Yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, there
They
was
just
some.
deployed in this. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the because remember the Fox, the commander isn't a Fox unit. It's that like FE402 unit, and that's what it was. Because it was their formation commander that spearheaded out, and then the Foxes all went into that corner, basically up against my board edge to like satisfy the requirements. And they stayed there the whole game because your infantry and your M113s were moving towards them, and they were just picking off everything that was like uh, super light armor coming towards them. It was the other side of the map that like I put all my eggs into one basket, and that basket was shit, and I'm still like super salty about it. Um, I don't think it was bad table placement. You can go to the Instagram and you can take a look at that specific table. Uh, the problem was the way the objectives had to be placed, because I think in that one it's I place one in mine, you place one in mine, and then I place one in yours, you place one in yours, and the one you placed, it was as close as you could with some like minor cover, and then mine was like tucked back in, and so I put the three challengers that I had chilling so that if anything got within range, I could shoot it on the objective you had placed close to the center, and I could still contest if you like ran long way around to get to mine in the back. The problem is all that fucking armor in the front doesn't do any fucking good when you have full RDF LTs coming in flanking your side and you're whiffing the shots. Like I only got one good shot before they were in my side. Whiffed, just flat out fucking whiffed. And then you were around on my side. I had to move in order to prevent you from getting side shots into that armor, and kept failing blitz, which then
Was it a blitz or a cross check?
no, the cross check.
Oh no, that was the second game. Never mind.
No, well that too, but the cross check was on the other side. The leader never left the cornfield. He just would not pass the check to get out of the field. So he was the only thing that you could shoot at in the cornfield while the foxes were hiding behind the building, punching everything that came up towards them. No, across the way, it was... I'm pretty sure it's Blitz, the one where you get the 4-inch move.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yeah, so I kept failing the Blitz, so I wasn't getting the halted rate of fire, so it drops down to 1, and then because I failed the check, it was making it harder to shoot. So I was just like really, really missing my leopards when I play West Germans. I was just like, I clearly need to look at other factions, or not other factions, but like other shit, because I did not like paying almost three-quarters of my list, like 66% or some shit of my list on stuff that got taken out. How many points is RDF LT squad?
I think a tank's like 4 points.
Bruh, it was...
So 16 points for 4?
Yeah, they fucking earned their points, man. They earned them, and I was not getting the reinforcement roll that I was looking for.
Because what was coming out of reserve? I don't remember now.
Because it was one of the Challenger 2 squads.
Okay, that's right.
Because I had a single for the HQ, I had 2 and 2, and that was that battalion, or squad, or whatever. I was Navy, I don't really give a shit. And I had to put the 2 in there, because it was either that, or like everything else, and I still would have had to put 1 in. Everything else would have had to have been in reserve, just because they are so many points. Like, they were over 60 points, so no matter what, one of those little bastards had to go in. And I did it in a way that I was trying to force you to deal with it by... I was hoping you would send more towards the challengers and the foxes would get flank shots, but you didn't need to, because I couldn't hit the RDF LTs, and you ate what I had, and it was just... that game was a slaughter, man.
As I say, it certainly helped that one squad was able to get there, and you only got the one shot. It certainly helped that I had a road that was kind of like leading along the edge, kind of in a flanking maneuver anyway.
Yep.
So I was able to make road dash and really take advantage of it, because I think it basically took me one move, second move I was there, and I was ready to start. And I don't think every single one of them was close enough to get side shots, but critically I had enough to like
and
Yeah,
they
it was a squad of 2. Taking one out was a big deal. So
and it didn't have to be all of them because like the other thing about it was that road led into hills that we had said needed cross checks to get over before the game started, and I had tried to get those shots of you in the open before you got there and just whiffed everything, and I was like, sweet, I ain't got a choice. We are backing up. We are using the terrain to bottleneck you so you couldn't. And then all but one of your boys made their cross checks to get through the hills
that's
and
right. Yeah,
were like in my side, and one of them was stuck and was like, you know what, I can still contribute dice though to the front and at least do, I think, like a bailout or something. And I was just like, oh my god. This is how I'm
yeah,
gonna
because you were
lose.
like ridiculous. You were front armor like ridiculous. I think yeah,
It's like
like if you
20
rolled.
something, I think.
I think it was literally if you rolled it was on a 1. If you rolled a 1, I would have gotten a bail on one of
Yeah,
them. Which, hey, a bail is a tank
not
not moving
fighting
if it's already
back.
shot.
Yeah.
If it hasn't shot. Yeah,
And that game was just, it was gnarly. I've never felt steamrolled before, and I've never, because I still don't necessarily think the dice were bad. And I probably for a week fucking replayed that game, just being like, I don't know what I do different, because if I put the foxes on the other side, that leaves the flank that they were protecting pretty open because there was more cover for you to leapfrog behind. Like there were more buildings on that side. Once
yeah,
once you got through the field, you could have leapfrog. I wouldn't have been able to shoot at you. So they were effectively keeping your infantry squads pinned down and their transports like unable to get there. But I was really counting on the tanks seeing you coming first, getting the shots uh, of your tanks crossing the field in the open, and they fucking whiffed. But the foxes, as I said earlier, like they were doing maximum damage. So it was like the dice were good for the foxes, not so great on the Romars. I know the Romars, I made a number of saves, but like the law of averages, if you just keep throwing dice and like you just have to get like more than two to like beat me out. Like it's not it's eventually gonna happen.
yeah. I was to say like it certainly feels like a big downside to the big MTTs. Like sure, they got really good armor and they got a really good gun, but at least in like our small meta of people that play, only one of us plays Warsaw Pact in general, like a lot. And so if you're gonna fight me, sweet, you had what 5 challengers in total,
Yep.
and that's hitting me on 4+ or worse if I'm in cover or I have concealment, and you're only pumping out what you said they weren't even moving rate of fire 2.
No, they're moving one.
Yeah. So it's just like the law of averages. You're just not doing enough shots. That's why, like, I felt kind of the same way for our second game, which we'll get to, where the Abrams, despite the fact that they didn't need to be in reserve, and I got them, because of the game we played or the match we played, mission rather. Like they're just not. They never pump out enough shots unless your opponent is going to be like, sure, I'll sit out in the open and just let you shoot me. Like
Oh,
they're just not going to make their points back.
and that was
That's what you did wrong. I didn't sit out in front and just let you kill me. That's what I did wrong.
yeah, the other, I just remembered the other thing about that was your M60s never came on the field until like I had one
Like
challenger left.
yeah, I think they came on second to last round we played, but they only shot in the last round.
Yep. Because you had to get around the buildings because I had tried to retreat. The RDFLTs pushed me literally back into the corner to like try to keep the challengers alive, and then I got lucky with the I finally. Oh no, I didn't even get the roll. I had to go off of the hey, you suck getting your reinforcements out. So here's a
Yep.
pity. Here's a pity
Have
reinforcement.
a yeah. Have a pity one. Enjoy.
Yep, and I was like, sweet, they're gonna come on right here in the corner because I need them. And then like that was what finally killed the RDFLTs. Was like my one leader in the cover, or in the corner with the other two, and at that point, like your M60s had just rolled on the board, and there was a factory that was like blocking, and then I was like, oh no, uh, even if I position the front, you could very easily like crescent maneuver me, and it didn't matter which way I tried to move at that point. It was over. But that was the game. I don't know why it never clicked for me that you could use the gun on your aircraft for
Hmm.
ground targets. It wasn't until you were like, well, the A10 can do it, and it doesn't have a fancy keyword. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh, shit. I guess I can. Yeah, we're going to gun down some of these, really annoying transports that keep hiding behind shit that the foxes can't get to or whatever it was.
Oh yeah. I must say the All Star though was like in terms of air stuff or anti-air. Sure, I had Yorks that were covering like most of my army, but there's something to be said for a bunch of pintle-mounted 50 cals. Sure, they get one shot and they have to reroll successful firepowers, but when there's only 4 aircraft, and they're like, "Oh, hold on, I got 16 shots with 50 cals from all around you because there's a 20-inch range."
Yeah. Still not as
Still feels
good.
pretty good killing one of them.
Yeah, still not as good as fucking goddamn Adams rolls against me when we played. His was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna roll 6. I was like, well, at least you get to re-roll those. And he's like, oh cool, 3. And I'm like, oh god damn. It's like, well, there goes all of them. Those little bastards are gone. That was, yeah. I don't think you killed all the Harriers, and I will say, although shit, the Vigans did the same thing. The fucking Harriers were like on the table. I want to say the entire game too.
Yeah.
They just died a little bit faster, which was sad. Because that's the whole reason I wanted to try the British. That and the Foxes.
Well, shall we move on to game 2 of Team Yankee?
Yeah, because I thought this game was a lot more enjoyable and more hard fought for both of us. Because I know, like, I saw the way you were looking. You were looking pretty defeated at one point, and I was like, dude, I've almost lost all the wedges, and everything else has like armor 5 or some shit.
Yeah.
I was like, you can machine gun this. So I was
So,
like,
yeah, you were playing Swedes. What was your list then?
yeah. So this one I do have because, man, I love the Swedish. Had I known they were coming out, I would have immediately. I would have waited and jumped in on them when it first came out instead of what I did. Hold on, we are. The fuck? It's not that one. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Whew. All right. So, Swedish once again, 100 points because that is Aaron and I are both lazy and we don't like doing math. So, 40% of 100 points is 40 points. It's amazing. Super easy to figure out reinforcements. So, I took the STRV 103 S Tank Company, fully loaded of the mandatory S tanks. So 9 S tanks, Oh, I can just view list. Wait for that to load. Yep, so 9 of the 103s, 3 of the band cannons, 1 observer, 4 Vigans. Oh, this is the modified one. Shit. This is not the one I played, because this is the one with the West German uh, list added. Go back. Uh, full IKV 91 squad. 1 of the PVV 302 armored recon platoons. Which is dumb because I took it as a support, and I was looking through this list later and realized it can go in the company. There's a slot in the S tanks where I could have just taken it. I was so dumb for not reading that. A full PVRV 551 anti tank platoon, the Vigans, and then 2 of in the formation the armored rifle platoons. And I was so annoyed with this one because I was like short 2 points, and I was like, oh, we'll just do this. And I didn't realize how much of a hassle it was going to be until we put them on the table. But like, I took the full 7 point, and then replace 1 GRG M48 with the bill, and then replace all the P-Scott M68s with 86s for a point. So I did that on both of them because I was like, I'm at 98 points. We'll do that. Until I realized when you look down at the chart, they are 1, 2, 3 different anti-tank weapons that you have to keep track of which ones are which, because their profiles are all different, which was awesome. Because like, yeah, the 86 and the 48, they have 60-inch range. They're 1-1 AT-17, but one's a 5+ and one's a 3+. And then you got the Bill, which is a 8-40 halted 1, anti-tank 22 3+. And I was just like, all right, I need you to pay attention to which ones are which, so you know which ones to avoid and how close you can get to them. This, that, and the other. So that was that, and that was my 100 point list. Do you remember your American list?
Yeah, broadly, like the high points, because I remember what I wanted to do is I was like, all right, I want to take something because I frequently take that core of a Met Company, RDFLTs, and M60s is kind of like my go-to, with maybe some little bit of changing here and there, but that's basically what it always is. So I definitely wanted to, I was like inspired by your aircraft. I was like, well, I don't want to take Harriers. So taking them before, let's take a full flight of 4 A10 Thunderbolts, right? They got the GAU 8, it's like AT-11 4 shots, and their Maverick missiles are AT-27, which is like bonkers good. But they're 20 points. And then I took for my reserve, because I think there's only 2 missions, so okay, I guess it is 1/3, but of like if you just roll a d6 out of the main rulebook, there's only 2 missions that don't have reserves. So it's like, all right, let's do the classic thing now that we do of my 40-point reserves. It was in 4 tanks. It was in 4 M1A1s, not the heavy commons, not the upgraded versions, because you got your M1, then those can be upgraded M1 IPs. And you got your M1A1s, or it can be upgraded to a heavy common. I just took the, like, not quite ridiculous, but especially since they just got the points adjust, and I don't think I had ever played with anything that was affected by the dynamic points. Okay, just the Yorks, because they went up, but they went from like 6 to 8 or something like that. Anyway, so realistically, because my thought is like, and this is my thought usually when I build lists for this game, is that since I took aircraft, I needed to have a 40-point list that I knew I was going to play with, that I knew I was going to have, because I knew there was a good chance we were going to play reserves, so that's 40 points. And then I also took aircraft, 20 points in aircraft. So that was 60 points that I'm not going to start the game with, and potentially not at all, because reserve rolls are 5+, and it's only 1 die, and strike aircraft are 4+, also only 1 die, at least to start.
Yeah.
And
not on the first turns.
It was Mech Company, and I believe so it was another Mech Company for the rest of it. Command 1, and then 2 squads or 2 platoons of 3, so they were slightly smaller. 4 M60s in the formation, and then 2 113 scout squads. So it's like a 50 cal 113, and then a tow mounted 113, and they were just tow ones, which I don't think it really mattered for the AT because it's one single missile shot. They're probably gonna fucking miss in my experience because it's just 1 dice. And yeah, we were playing. It ended up basically being table quarters because of how we did our objectives, but it was long table edges. Basically, almost the same mission. So
no, this one was whatever the second is. It's literally table edge to table edge, and we did not go corner to corner. You picked a corner.
Well, I mean, like our objectives.
Oh, okay.
Our objectives were. Yeah. So kind of like where I needed to go and defend were similar in that regard.
Yeah. Which we fucked up. We didn't realize it until we read after.
Yeah, that we placed our own when we were supposed to place our
opponents.
Place our opponents. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
We're real good at it.
It worked out. Yes. But it was definitely my turn to have Abrams or high tier MBTs fail, because critically this one had no reserves, so I actually had 80 points in my list to play with, but still half of it was in 4 tanks, and I sent them off on a flanking mission to kind of go threaten your objectives off on my
critically
left. Yeah, by themselves. Yeah, which to be fair, I don't.
No.
Okay, I also had really crappy AA, now that I remember. I had four Stinger missiles in Humvees, whatever. That's all I had.
Sure.
I didn't take the orcs.
True, they didn't throw a lot of dice, but they threw quality dice. And they still terrified me, and that is why your Abrams died, if you'll remember. Because you left them alone.
Yep. I mean, you're not wrong.
So, ladies and gentlemen, of the listening pool, chat, if you will, I spread out a good but balanced line, putting my 6 of the STRVs on a hill overlooking where you were putting most of your deployment. The rest, the infantry dug in at Burger Town and a forest. Pictures are up on Instagram. The tow missiles were covering the approach to both objectives. The band cannons were in the back. The observer could see the 3 exits out of your what am I thinking of? Out of your deployment zone. And I still don't understand, man. Like your main force, and I discounted ambush. I will 100%. I thought ambush had a larger restriction than it did.
I completely forgot. Yeah, I took Wolverines too.
Yep. And I totally botched. Because I thought I had put them... I thought I put the STRVs close enough to the edge that it would box you out if you try to deploy on their side. I was wrong. It's only 4 inches. If concealed or whatever, and there were trees.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Well, critically, also, don't forget, is that the only reason I got to do that was because Wolverines get to be different. Their resistance rule is basically their deployment is the reverse of the regular ambush rules. Because
Uh,
usually, I believe it's only in my deployment area, and resistance says you get to do it in your enemy's deployment area. It's something like that. It's a little bit different
I thought it was enemy
in terms of
deployment and no man.
yes, but regular ambush, it's in my deployment area if I remember correctly.
Sure.
Like I kept having to check because it was opposite.
Yeah.
So if they were just regular ambushers, like because you can get ambush as part of the mission.
Yeah. Yeah. It just sucked because your guys were on the other side of the trees and were able to get good flanking shots, and so your infantry, like your main infantry unit, was like directly across the hill. The M60s were also there. Your toe hammerheads were also there, and I was like, ooh. As soon as those Wolverines popped up, I was like, this is gonna fold a lot faster than I was expecting, and I only got saved by some bad rolls on the first turn, I believe, and then
Well, you were concealed and gone to ground for your whole army because of the attacker defender, so I was
yeah,
only hitting on sixes for everything.
yeah, but they were also still gone to ground in the second turn, just because they hadn't moved, and that's their ambush tank rule. But that didn't stop you from like actually starting to kill them during the second turn. But so I had all my S tanks on one side, and then about halfway in the middle of the map was like my coverage and my fall pack position, and the infantry were like all over there. And I was looking at your list, more afraid of going and doing like the rocket salvo on your big infantry push, because I was super concerned that I was going to have SAMs and pintle mounted machine guns all shooting my direction. And I was just like, there's no fucking good way to get to those SAMs beforehand. And then just two M1 Abrams go driving up the road out of SAM coverage and just having their AA. But it's 16 inches on the pintle?
20.
20? Still far enough out that I could, drop 4 Vigans in and hit you with their. I think they also carry the Maverick. Outside of your AA range. So, like, yeah, you murdered the IKV squad. Like, they had like half your AT and armor up front. I only got to shoot a bill at you once, and the Vigans, they came in on every roll, and they killed shit each and every time. Because I think I only got the one M1 in the first round they came on the table. And then
sounds about right. Yeah.
And then you tried to, like, you finished off the IKV squad and you were coming for the 302s that were transporting the infantry. But before you could do that, I realized what the range on the Maverick was, dropped them in my corner next to the band cannons, and was like, yep, I can see you from here. Bop that guy with 4 Mavericks. And that was just kind of like, yeah, your big threat was dead, but your A10s came on the table too late, and you were pushing my like must hold at all cost flank back, because like you forced me to move the S tanks like twice, so they didn't get to shoot realistically, because it would have been like on 7s. And I don't remember if this game allows.
Yes. It's like a 6 followed by a 5. Is what a roll to hit. If you get to a 7 on your doing your math to figure out what to hit. It's a 6 followed by a 5.
Oh, gotcha. So I could have taken shots. I just didn't think about it because I have the overworked crew rule on the S tanks.
Mm.
So if I move, it's an automatic +1 to hit on my shots. And when I moved them the first time, the only thing that I could see were your hammerheads, which were gone to ground, and like angling towards me. So I was like, I guess we'll. Oh no, I took a shot at your infantry because the saves weren't as bad. I think.
That's because they had like hard pointed a building.
Yep.
That could, yeah, like each side could see,
and they were
like,
shooting, so they weren't gone to ground.
Yeah, they were shooting almost every turn.
So I was still looking for 6s, but that's not what I took the S tank for.
Yeah, like sure, it's got brutal, but
yeah, it was. I think the only. Go ahead.
I was gonna say critically, you mentioned like the A10s came in late. They also only came in twice.
Yeah.
I think the game was like 7 or 8 rounds total.
Yeah.
And it was a mission where I couldn't roll first round because I was attacker. I got no strike aircraft, but they came in like turns 5 and 6. I just could not get a silly. It was just coin toss, and it was always the bad side of that coin toss.
And that's what I was saying, because like it's one thing, because I really didn't have any SAMs, because I had misunderstood my org chart when I was setting up. I thought I had misread it, and I thought I could only take that anti-aircraft or the 551 tow carrier. So like I had made my choice that I was like, if aircraft or helicopters come in, we are only shooting whatever, AA machine guns I have, and we're just gonna fucking suck it up and deal with it. And I got so lucky, because if you had come on the table and killed the command S tanks earlier, it would have been morale checks constantly for my army. And you had said it after you had done your attack run the second time with the A10s. You were like, oh shit, I should have just killed the command tanks. And I was like, yeah, I didn't know what you were doing. You picked your target, and I was like, I mean, okay, I guess I'll lose the tow carriers. Be my guess. I guess I'll lose the band cannons. Like, that's fine. They're not. Damn, I want to love the band cannons. They're nowhere near as good as the off ones, because I can only take 3. It is so painful.
It limits you to 3, or you only own 3?
I can only take 3.
Interesting. So it can never benefit from the rerolls.
Yep, I never get the benefit of the auto rerolling misses. So like, yeah, I get the auto loader -1 to hit or whatever it is. But it was they were just kind of lackluster. I was like, I'd rather just take the Vigans as my like potential arty, and then fill out the like 10 points or whatever it was with like maybe some anti-air, because their fucking anti-air is like 4 fucking points or something. So I could definitely do that and not feel bad, even though I personally just love the band cannon. Yeah, it was slinging ammo at each other the entire time, and the difference was whose aircraft came in first. Because if my Vigans had been delayed another turn, your M1s could have stranded the infantry at Burgertown, and I would not have been able to push you off of the objective, because I had chosen to make the Burgertown as like the first wave break. Everything coming through there was going to get shot by, at least 17 AT one way or the other. And I was hoping that it was going to be just volume of dice to kill whatever. But you did an excellent job ranging out so that only the bill could get shots. Because like I remember you were like, "Yep, this is 17 inches. This is as far away as I can get from Burger Town, and then I'm just gonna slaughter the IKVs." And I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck you, man. That's." I thought I was gonna at least get more shots than I did. I'm still convinced it was just whose aircraft came on the table first.
Yeah, because like I mean, I was fairly convinced that like I was like, all right, I'll make this painful, but I don't think there's anything I can do about this, especially with not getting my aircraft. But you kept pointing out that like, it's not exactly as set in stone as you think, and especially when it's like,
because there's that downside of
yeah,
putting everything into one formation. Because like that's
yeah,
what I did for the Swedes on this one. Whereas when I played the British, I was like I had the Challenger squad and I had the Fox squad, and there was a equal balance, not necessarily in points, but of number of units in each. In the Swedish one, it was stacked. It was the 3 squads of S tanks, 2 squads of like 2 separate infantry unit squads, and I could have taken the 302 if I was smart and actually read my formation guide correctly, and that would have only left the tow, the band cannon, the observer, and the Vigans outside of the formation, and they wouldn't have had to take the morale test, but having the formation run, which was like all of my actual fighting stuff, was brutal. And when we actually had to go do the rolls, I lost one S tank and the infantry squad that was standing like literally on the forest where the objective was, which meant that objective was now completely undefended because your M113s kept machine gunning. And I just couldn't kill them. I felt like the bill was like overpinning and it wasn't causing it to detonate because those little bastards just kept
yeah, it
picking
was just
off.
through and throughs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just picking off my infantry, and I was like, oh, I guess this group's gonna die. I guess this group's gonna die. And then I looked down, I'm like, oh shit, oh no.
yeah, it wasn't enough to like. I couldn't get enough hits to pin you, but it was like at least a base or a single stand of infantry every turn.
Each Yeah, for each unit that you were shooting with. So like I don't think you had it in your mind for the morale game. Like I think you were focused on like I need to kill stuff, and in my head I was like, oh no, the formation is literally about to collapse. If because like at the end of the game I only had the one commander tank, and he didn't have to make formation rolls for morale, but the rest of the army did, and the rest of the army wasn't within 6 because we were trying to cover the objectives, and I was like, oh no, I don't get re-rolls, and we're on morale. Fuck me. And it was literally by the grace of the Vigans coming in and salvo on the infantry, Mavericks on your tanks, and then just gunning down the SAMs when I finally was like, well, I don't have any targets left, so I guess we're gonna go into SAM range and try and kill these things for the final pass. Um, yeah, it. I genuinely think that game, if you don't look at the units killed, you look at the formation and you like see where names and units are crossed off. I think you would have looked at it a little bit differently and definitely killed the commander as soon as you could, and then that would have forced the game instead of going
Yeah,
after the 551s.
yeah. Like I get how some like you'll see tournament reports and like theory crafting of how they want to limit people taking a bunch of different formations just because it's swinging one way or the other. Like I'm now hesitant to take single formation armies but I also don't ever want to go beyond like the 2 that I generally play because I'm like, all right,
Sure.
well, they're reasonable amounts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I
well, I guess
genuinely,
technically I'm doing 3 now that I think about it, but
and I genuinely feel like what you bring is enough to chew through regardless. Because like playing between your British and the Swedes, um, and I'm trying to think of any other games we've played in Team Yankee recently, but like outside of those, it's been you always have a well-rounded, in my opinion, and it is always super difficult for me to like look at one thing and be like, if I kill that, the army dies, either morale or it just doesn't have the firepower. I always feel like for whatever I try and bring, it's well balanced and requires chewing. And I think that's part of why I had such a bad experience with the British, was because I took so little things that when I needed the multiple dice for rate of fire coming out, and I was forced to respond to moves and I was failing my blitz checks, that like it sealed it for them because they didn't have the options in the list building. Whereas when I look at my Swede list, I'm like, yeah, I've only got 14 armor on the front of this tank, and your M60s are going to punch through it no problem if they get a shot. Same with your toes. But I'm making it super difficult for you. I'm returning with a decent enough gun, and I'm hoping the rest of the army can at least entertain, and hopefully the Vegans come in and do some work, and we go from there. Because like when the 103s were dead, that meant the 302s. My Swedish 113s were then forced to cross the open field and try and capture shit. And you killed 4 of them before they even made it into like side arcs of your 113s that were trying to do the same thing, exchanging like small arms with each other. Uh, yeah, that was a lot closer, and I think that one did just come down to whose aircraft came on the table first.
yeah, I mean, like when those A10s showed up, they certainly were hitting like a truck. Like they could
Oh yeah.
dish it out real good,
Oh
but
yeah.
they can't do that if they're not there.
Yep.
Shall we move on to another game?
Sure. I was thinking next one we have is Victory at Sea on the list.
Yeah, which that was probably the one we played the longest ago.
It was the one longest ago. It was literally September 11th. I had to go back and check the Instagram because we weren't even sure if we had covered it before, but we recorded the day prior, and then we posted the podcast on the day we played. I got to put the French on the table for the first time. It was not your first time with Americans.
No.
You probably don't remember much. I literally took everything except for the carrier and aircraft in the French. I remember you took 2 medium battleships.
Yeah, I took 2 New Mexicos, like 4 Northamptons, and I do believe I had the Essex off the board in deep deployment for my aircraft, and there was probably some destroyers sprinkled in there.
There were.
Yes.
Do you remember the mission? Because I don't remember what it's called, but I remember what I had to do.
You had to get off the board, and I had to kill some amount of you.
Yep. I had to get at least, because I took 10 ships, and I was telling you after that I felt bad about it, because I had to take 2 of the Sea Coulfs, or whatever they're called, the really, really big submarines. I had to take 2 of them just so I could fill out the points that we had agreed on taking. Because I didn't want to take the carrier and I didn't want to take aircraft. Oh yeah, because we got to make the list after we saw what we were playing. So
Right, yeah, because technically, if you roll for missions in that game, like you agree upon a set point value, 2K,
yeah,
roll your mission, and depending on
you could get
major,
more,
minor,
you could get less.
yeah, or if it's like the middle of the road mission, you just get whatever the amount you agreed upon is.
Yeah, yeah. So mine was I had to get 5 off your side of the board, not even just off the board in general. I had to go through your table edge. And you had to kill X percentage, which meant because I think ultimate. Oh no, because you just had to deny me. You said your mission was deny me a major victory.
Yep.
Yep. And so you were like, "Cool, I just need to kill 6 ships," and I was like, "There's only one way I do this, and that is splitting my navy." So because it's been so long, I'm blanking on the big the Reichslu.
Yes.
I put that and 3 destroyers on one side. I put the 2 submarines in the middle, but closer towards they were running deep. I put them on that edge, but thinking if I need them, they have to be able to torpedo your battleships because I know you're going to be gunning for me. And then on the other side was the 4 cruisers that I had. So I think you stacked all your destroyers on that side, and your 2 battleships were definitely up against the Richelieu, but I can't remember if you had anything
It
else
was the
with
north on my left was all the Northamptons, from what I remember.
Yep.
It was them, like maybe half the aircraft, and
Yep.
then because what that's my thought was like the aircraft can anchor one side, and then the battleships can anchor the other side.
Yep.
And it was battleships, destroyers on one, cruisers and aircraft on the other.
Oh, that's right. The destroyers were there because they tried to chase me down.
Yeah, because it got to the point where I was like, I have to kill the subs, because it's your easiest way to get, what was it?
2.
Two of them. Yeah, that's a third of what you need off the board. So, and they were by far like, okay, well, I guess to rephrase that, the only things that could kill them were the destroyers for the most part. They had the best chance with
the only problem
depth
is
charges. So.
they never did anything for you to like find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought them up to Periscope, but I never did anything other than move them to the board edge. I only put them there on the off chance that I had to kill a battleship with torpedoes because something wasn't going to make it. So, real quick, on the cruiser destroyer side where your aircraft and carriers were, that one was a bloody fucking mess in terms of damage, because your aircraft killed one of the cruisers, your destroyers killed another cruiser, and then my light guns and everything just ate the rest of your units on that side, meaning I got 2 through on there, 2 through on the submarines, which meant I had to get 1 on the destroyer Richelieu side. And I knew it had to be the Richelieu because destroyers with like 6 fucking HP ain't gonna do shit. Like, the minute they are targeted with any amount of concentrated like light gunfire, they're typically dead. So, like, my strategy for that was knowing that the other side was just a super bloodbath. We were swinging, we were doing a bunch of damage to each other, and I only had to get one off the board, I kept evading, slow rolling the Richelieu from where it started. Oh, other key point. I forgot about this. I rolled so well on my the aircraft roll. I don't remember what it's called right now.
Oh,
Scouting.
the scouting? Yeah.
I rolled so well on the scouting that I got the loop edges on the 4-foot side.
Right, you basically got a big C
Yep. So
shape.
I could start in the middle of the board. That was the other reason I chose to split the Navy that way. Because if I'm splitting two at the 2-foot mark, then I only have half the way to go. So, um, so back to I was evading and slow rolling. We had a couple islands out there, but they didn't really come into play because they were more towards the center and they were not blocking shots. Nobody was dumb enough to put a ship on either side of it to where they wouldn't be able to shoot. Everybody was very cognizant of the lanes of fire that needed to happen. So as I was evading, my 3 destroyers were smoking to prevent your battleships from getting shot, which is how each of the 3 destroyers died, because they kept smoking, which meant the only thing you could shoot at were the destroyers. So right up to the last turn, I was or not the last turn, but probably within a foot of your board edge, the last destroyer finally died and wasn't able to smoke screen. And that was, I made one attempt to not evade so I could just get table length, because I did some measuring and figured out that I can't evade each and every time. Otherwise, I'm not making it off the board before 8, and I lose. So, and I tried to run. I tried to get a destroyer across, because I think the French ones move 8. It's something ridiculous.
Yes, I was flabbergasted when you told me that.
Yeah. I was also shocked when I looked down. I was like, "Holy shit, they're fucking 8." And that was why you murdered them. You murdered them hard. Because the first one would smokescreen, block it for the other 2 destroyers, and the battleship, that one would die. The second one was smokescreen for the other destroyer and the battleship, that one would die. It was very much a you are the sacrificial lamb. The Richelieu has to make it off the board. And yeah, I do remember you were very surprised at the end when I won, because the Richelieu had been evading and was angling towards your battleships, so I wouldn't give you the not the flanking shot, the silhouetted shot. I wouldn't give you the bonus to hit. And then at the end, I was like, cool, we're just gonna move to make a 45, and then move my last 3 inches, which was enough to get the base to off the board. And you were kind of like, fuck, you can go straight.
Yeah, it never occurred to me that you might just be like, oh, this is the turn where I don't evade and I just go real fast.
Yep. But you hammered it. I'm pretty sure you got it either critical or just at above critical. Even through the evades.
Certainly, yeah, I was gonna say, it was certainly going to be its last turn where it wasn't critical.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I was really debating, and I had also forgotten. I was like, you don't have to evade. You are just trying to get off the board. It's not a loss if you get off the board. And I was just looking at it I don't know what to do. Okay, we'll move to do this turn and wave. Because when we had both measured previously, we were like, oh shit, it's 2 turns if I keep going at this angle. But that was insane. And I know you and I talked about it afterwards. I still felt guilty taking the subs. I would not have taken the subs in that mission because I feel like it's a cheap way to do it. But it was just the only way I could get the points without putting, because like if I took the carrier, I was over. If I just felt bad about taking the subs because there's if I don't do it, if I don't attack and I don't do anything with them, there's no way for you to try to even find them unless I
Right,
just
because
flat
you have
surface.
to do something.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you have to do something for me to detect.
Yeah.
Like I can't just circle around and like I'm pretty sure it's this square.
Yeah.
And make blind rolls. Yeah.
There's no like active sonar shit. It's literally like, oh, you see the thing, now you turn on sonar to try and find it. It's like it's not how that works, but okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that's kind of what destroyers were for, right? That was one of their things, was anti-submarine stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like only if you have the keyword hunter can you do like X thing, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But that was really fun. I do want more French so I can play more. The Richelieu was fun to play. Having all your turrets up front and just some like baby turrets on the back to be like, oh, you thought you were going to get away from me by scooching past the big guns? Blam! Here's like 9 baby guns, baby turrets, all focusing on you.
Definitely had the like counter to what you think like a standard layout of turret layout for a battleship would be. So.
Yeah, because your first destroyer that made the torpedo pass, as it like went by, like you were like, aha, I'm getting peppered by light guns, and you're like, what's the turret on the back? I was like, it's got 3, and you're like, wait, what? Oh shit! And it was like too late because I had moved up in the next turn and I activated it first and like one shot the little destroyer, and you're just kind of like, mental note, don't go past the fucking citadel. don't get blasted because it's
yeah, it's a good strategy. Don't die.
Yeah, it's got one turret on the center line in the back, and then it's got one on like each side of that center line. So if you stay outside of the that rear arc, you can only get hit by 2 of them, or you stay close enough to the boat where like you're within their close range and they can't target you. But when you made the loop to try and come back for a second torpedo pass, and I was like, turret's got that one. And you're like, how many? Bop, bop. Other than that, I feel like they also don't suffer from the weak on a lot of their light guns like the Italians do. That was...
Yeah,
I love that.
It's frequently annoying when I go, okay, yeah, you go fish for your crits. Have fun.
And I'm like, cool, there's 4. And you're like, what the fuck? Well, you gotta confirm that shit. Oh, here's 3.
I'm just curious, like, what about their guns in real life made them that much more effective? Their light guns against, heavily armored battleships and the like.
We're
like,
firing,
what is their reasoning?
We're firing biscotti, and it's really fucking hard, so it just pierces your armor.
Biscottis or baguettes, huh?
Both.
Both.
We're firing Gale baguettes for the French, biscotti for the Italians. Badoom.
Well, on that horrible pun, shall we move on to I believe our last games to cover?
Yeah.
Let
me hit BRS real quick, and then we can move on to Legion.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that one. That's fine.
Because it's not as cool.
No, it's because it was the one I didn't get to play. That's all.
It was the one you didn't get to play. So while you were out on vacation, John and I met up and we played Blood Red Skies. And we played standard points. However, John wanted to be cool and show off. So he brought 2 F-86s and numbers so he could get 2 more. And I brought 3 Shinden 2s and 4 keys? Oscars. 4 Oscars. That's what it was. And the clouds saved my ass. because of that stupid fucking rule where because I wasn't jet stage 1 or whatever, I couldn't advantage at the end of my
What? Yeah,
turn.
like while within. But it was
Yeah.
only within a certain range, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, when there's 4 of them and they never leave your shit, the way you cheese it is you burn advantage to like make a move, go into a cloud, go back to neutral, leave the cloud, do that shit again, and I forget it's not tight turn. Oh, stall speed, something like that. The Oscars have this card that lets them move not half their speed, like up to 4 inches, and they can make the 45-degree turn whenever they want. In that, I believe. And so that was so useful, and it made John so mad because I flipped what he was expecting. He expected the Shindins to be the like things that would try and outflank him and go after him and, you know, exchange shots, which they did to a minor extent. The problem was like I couldn't do it too often because I could only get the head to heads with him on the Shindins. But because I had stall speed or whatever it is on the Oscars were able to just like move, like go into the clouds, come out, turn later, wait for him to pass, and then do the turn to get on his ass to tail him and disadvantage him immediately. And he was like, "Oh shit! Like this is not good. I don't know how to handle this." And the like once he actually sat down and thought about it, he realized the play was to stop making turns to keep me within like 6 inches of him. He was like, I gotta let you try and climb because you keep doing the stall thing to basically stay in his rear arc the entire time with the Oscars while the Shindins were like out flying bait. So like once he learned that, I tricked him into like a head-to-head in one and then put a Shindin out to be bait because I was like, I need that squadron to die so that the Oscars can get the final kill on him, to get the final boom shit. And he fell for it. He did, because I asked him afterwards, and he's like, hey, I'm coming off of X amount of hours on a shift. You know, he started that new job, so now like he's got a schedule and he's working graveyard. And he's like, yeah, I'm not really feeling tired. Because like we sat down and talked about it after, and I was like, why did you kill the Shindin? And he was like, I wasn't thinking about it. And I was like, do you see what I'm talking about though? Before we pick stuff off the board, like, do you see why I'm asking you why you killed the Shindin? And he like looks down, looks at everything, and then realizes there's an Oscar just sitting out in the open that I couldn't get it to the cloud. I was trying so hard to get it into the cloud formation, but it was like an inch away from where the Oscar finished. And he was like, oh shit, I should have killed it because you wouldn't have been able to activate your advantaged Oscars before my neutral F-86 aces. And I was like, yeah, but because you let my advantaged Oscars go, I was finally able to get them to a position to like just take a shot at you, and I got lucky and I got the hit. And so I made him re-roll. I made him re-roll the attack against the Oscar just to see. Not only did he get the boom shit, but he also actually got the kill. So technically, if he had done it right, he would have been the only person to have actually shot down an aircraft, and he would have won the game. Because at that point, yeah, the Shindins were still alive, but the keyword trait that I had taken for them, although they possibly only get one, wasn't good against the jets. Because all he had to do was fly, you know, his max speed away, turn around, And then he could always get like, yeah, he was shooting profile, but like my side profile. So yeah, I'm saving. I'm throwing a lot of potential saves, but it doesn't matter because all he needs was hits to generate boom jits. So I was like, I was up Shit's Creek because I couldn't even ducking into the clouds. Well, that doesn't help me shoot him. That just helps me stay alive. And when it's only 3 Shindens against 4, jets, I was gonna surrender if he had killed the Oscar because like I was doing the math and I was like, unless he severely fucks up and gives me a head on when he's on 1 boom chit and I'm on 1, it's a loss for me because all he needs is to keep shooting at my side. Once he figured that out, and I was dead. So it was a super tight game, and I think I only won because of the stall ability on the Oscars. Just being able to do these it's almost like that biplane keyword.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost as good as that. Just on something with a little more firepower, a little more speed. So I'm definitely going to take them again and kind of experiment with them again, because like when he's like, "Wait, you only moved like 2 inches? How did you do that?" I'm like, "The card that I literally played right here. Here's what it says." And he's like, and I also, it wasn't a surprise because I wanted to get the correct interpretation of the card, because the first way I read it to me was saying you get an additional 4 on yours. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense because it's talking about stall speed. So why would I be going really fast and getting this like extra turn? So I was like, hey, before we play this, how do you read this? This, to me, I read this as I should only get, if I play this card, I can only move 4 inches, but I can do the turn wherever. And he was like, yep, that's totally how I understand it too. And I was like, cool. It's not a surprise to both of us. This isn't going to like catch you off guard. This is how this is played. But it was just like him seeing it for the first time, being like, oh shit, I can't keep you close to me. I have to run. I have to allow you to climb for advantage. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing this 45 and tailing me and getting shots with no response out of him. So that was our Blood Red Sky game. That one was like 2 weeks ago, whenever. Super, super fun and enjoyable. I was terrified I was going to get run over by the 86s, but ducking into the clouds and the stall card really, really, really just kept me in it. Legion?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it was our last like regular tournament of the year.
Yep.
Because our next 2 are going to be charity tournaments with some weird rules, which we'll cover in future episodes. For my list, because I did get to play 1 buy round, and then you got to play another, and then before round 3, one of the dudes that knew, like he was like middle to low end of the pack, decided just to head on home.
Yeah.
Recently, I don't think we covered. Maybe the last thing I painted before all the other stuff we were talking about was I painted up 3 more squads of veterans, another squad of tauntauns, and another dish gun. Basically, so whatever I want to take within the bounds of like Echo Base, I can take it. If I want to take 6 squads of vets and their guns, I can. If I want to take squads of 10, I can, etc. So I took Snowspeeder with Wedge, 4 dish guns, a generic commander, and then 3 squads of 10 veterans, and their guns, their medium blasters. I thought it would be like, oh, it'll be cool, okay, awesome. I'll be rolling lots of red dice for rallying and such. I played against, oh gosh, I'm like brain dead at the moment. What list did you bring while I try and remember my game? I think I'm gonna have to like look at the standings to see who I played.
You played Link.
Oh shit, that's right, yeah. I was also fighting rebels. This is all his models are
Link,
3D printed.
he loves you. I swear, it's not a slight against you. You're a good listener and a good friend.
I've been doing a lot of remodel shit the last 2 days. I'm a little
He's
brain and body dead and exhausted right
he
now.
took an air quotes vacation to do work around his house. He's still brain fried.
Yeah.
Do you want me to cover my list
Okay.
though?
Go right ahead. Yeah. Sure.
Let you collect your thoughts real quick.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I played my essential what's new in my bag list since 2.6 rules edition neutered, and I mean neutered my original it's in the bag list, and I probably won't update the rebel list until saboteurs come out. So for those who don't remember, because I
Or hold on, the saboteurs or the sleeper cells?
sleeper cells, yeah.
Okay. Which I think is
Uh,
this Friday.
oh fuck, sweet. Um, so I know I've talked about it in the past because I did a demo game with it. And I played it at the last tournament for a buy. It's Grievous, 4 naked B1 squads, 2 regular B2 squads with the 3 red dice heavy upgrade, 1 Magnus squad with rockets, 3 droidecas with emergency transponder, and an AAT with the coordinate droid and HQ. There's more upgrades, but like that's the general gist of it. It's the list that Liam, if you ever listen, that taught you to be afraid of B1s and don't just discount something because you think their stats suck. They can still be wielded to great efficient use. Do you want to cover your game first, or you want me to cover mine?
Yeah. Just because I had a thought on my mind when we were talking about upgrades. One thing, because I hadn't played with veterans yet, and critically, I hadn't played at all with the prepared positions rule, which is as opposed to like turn 1 walking on the board before you reveal pips, I just get to do old school deployment essentially. And so everything in my list except the commander
I know
and
where this is going now.
leader we're all prepared positions. I gave because everything else I've been playing, I've been building around a core of the other times I've played. Rather, I was building around a core of operative Luke and like 4 to 5 squads of rebel troopers. And recon intel is incredibly powerful in my opinion. It's really useful. And so I did the usual recon intel thing I would do in the previous edition of the game. Put my dudes out. Hey, look, there's some cover critically right there within easy speed 1 move off of my recon intel. And Link looks at me and is like, is that how that works still? And I read it, and the way they describe how you do it, it only talks about walking on the board, the normal deployment. So essentially, it's a wasted upgrade. So he was nice enough to let me put those 15 points elsewhere, and I put I can't think of the link targeting array. Actually, there we go. On all the medium blasters, since there were 3 of them, and they're 5 points apiece. We were playing Bunker Assault, and
Ooh, fun.
yeah, like I had the thought in my head that since my guys are all incredibly slow moving, that I probably want to play objectives or missions that have fewer objectives. Because like if we got shifting priorities and they were all spread out essentially from end to end, almost to opposing corners in that regard, like it was going to be to my disadvantage. It was like I want to play things that are allow me to play my gun line more like a gun line. And like he felt very threatened by them. It was I'm not like that was what he had told me, and he was like very he was like showing some concern. He was like, "Oh, there's a lot of guns there." I was like, "Yeah, sure."
It's
Uh,
generally how it works, Link.
yes, like the dish guns, I thought did pretty good, and I think that was also the benefit of just having 4 of them. Uh, but I gotta say, like I really felt he beat me, by the way. I really felt the loss in mobility. Like Speed 1 veterans feel kind of bad. And I remember everybody, that was the hot take as soon as that was noticed by like Rebel players online, was that, well, No point in playing vets anymore. They're speed 1, and I was like, I'd like to try them myself before I make that choice. But yeah, I'd much rather take rebel troopers with shotguns, get their recon intel, the whole 9 yards. Just having that mobility seems super important because, like, the time we played, where the shifting priorities objective, you kept pushing it into a corner. I didn't feel bad at all about throwing like a 70-point unit to just chase after it and score me points, who I think only shot once.
Right.
Yeah. The snowspeeder did great. Usually, I'm almost never disappointed by my snowspeeders. Like, they'll deal out some good damage, provided I don't throw them out in the open by themselves, kind of thing. And I think the commander did precisely nothing. Because I was actually a friend of Mike, Kyle, and I's. We went to high school with. He wants to kind of get into the game. He played one game of the learning game of the previous edition, and so we kind of both ran my list. As we were doing it, I realized I was like, huh, I didn't even need to take the commander. I could have put that 50 points elsewhere because I did take Wedge in my snowspeeder, who I also completely forgot was in there, so I never actually took any shenanigans with a free pivot or what have you. But yeah, I think that'll probably be my one of my few games I take veterans, or at least not like, because like people I've seen online, they'll build lists where they'll take like piecemeal things where, like, all right, we'll have a couple squads do this, we'll have the veterans to hold down and do this kind of thing. Where I like to build generally around a core of some things that are similar, because just for me it makes more sense, I guess. Like, when I build my list thematically, that, like, well, yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be rebel troopers, it's gonna be troopers, or it's gonna be, like a group of vets doing their thing, and they're gonna have the things that go with them, kind of thing. So
You
had a lot of
like your
fun, but
theme.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. But again, it was just like, okay, I think that take of veterans getting something of a downgrade with speed 1, like, I didn't feel like the prepared positions. Again, it's one game. Maybe I could have done better. I did kind of just put stuff out. Because that was the other thing. One other thing I noticed was, like, I split my army up and kind of spread it out, and he literally was like, on either short board edge, like when we were playing that Victory at Sea game, where there was almost nothing up the middle, and it was stuff running up the sides, skirting the board edge, because command range isn't a thing anymore. It is for panicking, sure, but you can kind of just be wherever you need to be. So my takeaway from that was definitely mobility is the name of the game.
Well, I think the mission you also played really hampers your list, because uh, bunker assault is literally a shortened battle lines. You are meant to play and set all your stuff within range 1.5 of your board edge in a small 8 range area in the center of your board edge. So for stuff that moves speed 1, it's not as good as like some of the other ones that give you a little more extension towards the middle or give you your side edges, because then you can set them up on that side without having to waste turns getting them in there and available for shots, so that when he does try to do the sneaking up on you, you're already right where he's trying to go and not letting him get flanking out of cover shots instead.
All right, well, how did your game go?
I felt bad.
Were you a bully?
Yeah. To be fair, I was fighting another CIS player. I was playing Scott. Scott was playing a weird amalgamation of units. Like,
Well, he took like a big Geo squad, right?
yeah, he took a massive Geo squad, which I thought was awesome. Uh, he took Grievous, some FAC, I think a standard STD, 3 Magnas, 2 B2s. Or no, one massive B2. One
Yeah, from what I've
massive.
read, they're super good now.
Yeah, one massive Geo squad. 3 naked B1s? Or 4 naked B1s? I don't know how many activations that is. He had 12. I had 12. We also played Bunker Assault, which is why I know it so well. We also had Recon Intel for our secondary. Neither of us got to trigger it because we kept killing the things when we would get into range. So we would only... Both of us would only ever have one unit at a time in scan, and you have to have 2 or more. So we were like, yeah, on the one side I'm killing everything, on the other side I'm not getting victory points off this kind of thing. And it was... I wanted to see where his shit was going, so I put out my B1s first, and then my tank dead center once I saw where his big B2 squad went. Got some good shots with the tank on the big B2 squad early, and then all my droidecas went to one side with the Magnas and Grievous, and the B2s went to the other side, and their job was to just hold the objective on that side, while the droidecas, Grievous, and the Magnas pushed up to his bunker. But fucking now that AI's changed, droidecas are fucking solid because they can aim now.
Look aside, did their AI orders change, or did AI functionally change?
No, AI functionally changed so that if you are within 3 of your leader, AI doesn't trigger, even if they don't have an order.
Okay.
So, because they were following Grievous up the off center, like they were following him up just outside of where both the bunker POIs are. Because he was following the droidecas were following, I could just aim and shoot each time. And because he had pretty much naked what are they called? Magnas. No real upgrades on him because he took a bunch of things. There were no upgrades on his Magnas. So my droidecas ate them for lunch, and then there was only one B1 squad to contest their bunker when I went running up the center with Grievous and the rest of the droidecas. And even though we went to time, I want to say 2-5-3. I won 5-3 on objectives, and we went to kill points. He had killed 2 B2s and a B1 squad, and I had murdered 2 Magnas, a B1 squad, his B2 squad. Yeah, his Magnas, even though they were naked, were still way more expensive than, my small B2, small B1 squads. So even if we had gone to kill points, it was not good. And all I did was march droidecas across the field into his face and was like, here, deal with this. And he was like, yeah, I don't really have a good answer to that because my things that should kill it are on the opposite side of the table killing your chaff. So the keywords and the things that I said for the last podcast where I was like, I hope I have more bodies than you do dice, that actually played out on the side of the map where he put his biggest units. Yeah, he was throwing a lot of dice, but he was moving and shooting, so there wasn't a lot of aims and rerolls. So he was just getting stuck. And while he did have one really, really, really good hit, one really, really good hit against a B2 squad that only has 8 wounds, well, you just wasted your, 15 wounds into a unit. Yeah, you killed it, but you would have much rather have had that spread out across other units instead of concentrating it into one area, if that makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah. He was a good sport about it. It was the bye, so in the end, he still technically won. In terms of the tourney, it was just a friendly little game.
Yeah.
He got a warm up without getting penalized for it. So, and as I understand, he didn't do too bad in the tournament. I don't think. So, doing what I can.
Yeah. I think that was our last game, huh?
Yep, and I don't really have anything for future competitive markets because lips are sealed until.
I mean, I do have. Let's say I do have one thing, but I gotta finish that damn He-Man stuff first.
Your wrestling game?
Oh no. I'll be surprised if I ever play that.
What do you got next then?
No, I have. Well, I guess it's not necessarily a new game, but I got new stuff. I picked up a bunch of Bradleys from. Is that Kyle number 2?
Nice. Yeah. Number 2.
Yeah, and I'd like to play with them painted.
Boo.
They have enough to take. I know.
Boo. Pile of gray.
No, I haven't. Well, technically, it's green plastic. Anyway, yeah, I have 6 or 7, so I can take as a good nice little support, in addition to taking maybe a core of M60s or something, or even take a Bradley platoon instead of a 113 platoon, because I get it, Bradleys are just so much more useful than a 113. I mean, sure, you pay for it. You get the autocannon and a tow missile, so you can basically threaten anything on the board, light vehicles, choppers. A tow 2 can threaten most MBTs from the front. The only thing you really can't do, I don't think it has a pintle mounted 50, so you can't do, or even a pintle mounted 762, so you can't even do anything against incoming aircraft. But they are quite useful, and they seem. That was one thing I remember reading with the dynamic points, was that was one of the really good spam tournament lists that Americans could take was Bradley spam, and they're like, sweet,
let's make it better.
Yep, and it got better. So my goal is I think the most I can take, just I can have the option, is 13 of them in I think it comes out to 13 either way, but your command of 1 and 3 platoons, Bradley platoons with infantry of 4. So,
well, you bring
and the fact
those.
that they are just basically a light tank after they dump their infantry somewhere. So
you bring those, and the French are bringing their mass arty spam back.
Well, I'll remember the next time I fight the arty spam list. Don't shoot the transports that'll block the road with their dead bodies. I also did that against John, and I was like, sweet. Yep. I'm in an open field because we were playing a specific mission that had a specific setup. And I had a bum rush across the field, and I was taking shots as I went. Because I was like, sweet, they're Abrams, right? They get 2 shots on the move. Why wouldn't I move and shoot? And I was like, sweet, I can't do anything about this.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, I got nothing for contentious conjecture. Apparently, I'm just not salty enough.
No, I mean, I've got some topics that I would like to broach at some point, but we're at 2 fucking hours.
All right, I think we can call it there. That's probably good then.
Sweet. Well, I'm Fi.
I'm Aaron.
and you should go get some games in. Go have some fun.
Yeah, play games.
Bye.
Bye.